Hi folks, today we're looking at the VW Golf GTE, which is the brand new hybrid Golf. The GT and the E stands for electronic, which basically means it has two forms of propulsion. It has a 1.4 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine plus a electric motor bolted to the gearbox housing, which gives a combined maximum power of 204 PS, which is not inconsiderable. The top speed is 138 miles an hour, 0 to 62 in 7.6 seconds. And the fuel consumption, yes, is 166 miles per gallon according to this blurb that I've been given here. As you can see from the outside, the vehicle looks very similar to a standard Golf, apart from this little flash here on this side which gives it all away, or the one on the back as well, the GTE. The car gives you around 31 miles in all electric mode, and it is a full plug-in, so you can recharge it every night if you want to maintain that 31-mile range, which means that theoretically you could do most of your short run school trips, shopping and all that kind of stuff without ever having to put any petrol in it at all, which is mind-boggling when you think about it, when you consider that apparently 90% of our journeys are 20 miles or less. Of course, that 31 miles electric range is very much subject to what you're carrying and even the weather. It'll plummet quite significantly in the winter. If we take a quick look inside, we can see that the only real indication that this is an electric hybrid is the addition of a charge meter in there on the tachometer on the left hand side. Apart from that, everything else is very reassuringly familiar, which we think is obviously a deliberate ploy on the part of VW, because you don't want to scare people. So you've got a 6-speed auto gearbox here, D and B, which give you regenerative braking on the B and standard drive on the D. You also have this sort of faux what do you call it, paddles to allow you to have the illusion that you're still driving a GTI, but of course, you know, this is not really a hot hatchback, this is more of a warm hatchback. You're not going to get the same kind of performance strictly because you've got a bit more weight in there with a huge battery pack under the boot. Being a Golf, you'll find the legroom at the back is definitely adequate for most needs, and of course you'll get the usual family car type conveniences like the drop down into the hatch at the back, which makes the Golf what it is. One compromise you do have to put up with the E version of the GT is you have a less boot space, and the reason being that under here you have the battery pack in all its glory. No spare wheel or even run saver here. It's all about tire repairs and all that kind of stuff. But apart from that, it's not as bad as the Ford Focus, if those of you who've seen our Ford Focus review. Under the bonnet, neat, tidy as you'd expect. Little 1.4 sitting there, looks quite large actually for a 1.4, but it's got a lot of technology crammed in here around and about. They're handling all the seamless switchover. We have to say it's very smooth drive, and it's almost imperceptible at times, the switch from the petrol engine to electric. You just get a very small indication, maybe sometimes a push in the back, but that's about it. Your charge point is located, for your safety and convenience, here in front, behind the front little VW logo. Standard Type 2. Plug it in and there you go. It's actually quite a fast charger. You can get from 0 to your 30 mile range in about 3 hours, which is pretty good. Inside, as I've said before, it's all very standard. The start is the standard pusher button, and up it all comes very silently, I have to say. And that's it. That's the only indication you've got that you have a car ready to roll, really. Comes with this particular Sat-Nav. I think is an optional extra in this model that we've got here, but this fully featured one has some very interesting options. You get the chance to look at different views of your driving habits. You've got average miles per gallon, how you're doing on your electric consumption as well, and things like that. And then e-displays, which look at the sort of the power things, which, so I mean, I think this is more of a gimmick. I mean, I don't know how many people sit there watching how their battery is being recharged or decharged or discharged over time. And vehicle status, which is just basically giving you information on things like tire pressure. You have 4 modes. You can set it to pure electric, which will only use the electric motor and for as long as you have range left. Hybrid auto, which uses the battery and the petrol motor and makes the best decisions on those. If you want to keep your battery charge, you then use battery hold, and that will mean that the vehicle will spend its time ensuring that your battery range doesn't go down. The final mode is battery charge, where the car focuses on charging your battery up to full. It does have a penalty in use. When we flicked it on, petrol consumption, for example, went down from something like 45 down to 27 or so, so you're losing quite a lot of mpg by recharging the battery, even if it's just for a limited period of time. As with all these modern computerized things on wheels, you get to set up as much as you want. You can set up everything from the units you see to the mirrors and the wipers and the parking and all that kind of stuff. Again, this particular model has auto parking, which is that really cool. It has 2 really cool things which we'll demonstrate, which is ACC, automatic cruise control, and also auto parking, which is these are little wonderful things which prove to us that really these cars are going to drive themselves very shortly, and we're just going to be onlookers in the whole process. The other 2 buttons to note down here are the all-electric E-mode. These are just quick shortcuts to get yourself into battery mode only, and the GTE mode, which is a performance hybrid mode. So if you want to get closer to your GTI performance, hit that button and off you go, rocketing around town or rocketing around the world. Again, with the Golf, no compromise on storage. You've got lots of storage here, compartments here, another little compartment here, nice little cup holders, little change holder and stuff. Right, the only other thing I ought to mention is that in all electric mode you can get up to 80 miles an hour until your battery runs out, which will be quite quickly at 80 miles an hour, let me tell you, but it's interesting to know. So let's take it for a run and see how it drives and experience the joys of hybrid driving. Unlike other electric cars we've tried, this one does have a faint hum. I don't know if you can hear it. It just makes a very slight... We're not sure what it is. It's not the air conditioning. That's the aircon and on and stuff. So it's not that. It's just a hum. Default starts off in E mode. So if you want to have a different mode, you need to check and change that when you start off, if you're low on range or whatever. In electric mode, very smooth, very quiet. Rather like the all-electric Golf we tried a while back. It's got some get up and go as well if you need it. Hard to do any performance tests when you've got a speed bumps, but that's life, right? In terms of range, electric range, it does keep a rough tally. I mean, it does tend to oscillate a little bit fiercely. You can go down from 31 quite quickly for some reason, but I think that's endemic with all battery vehicles, in that the science for measuring voltages and things is all not very precise at the moment. It's still a work in progress, I think we should say. So pop it into GTE mode and you hear the motor kick in immediately, but not unobtrusive. And as you're running in hybrid mode again, it will still select the best option for you between battery and petrol engine. It's not as instant throttle response as a pure electric. There's no question. It's much softer pedal on this GTE than you'd experience on something like a Nissan Leaf, which is just like foot down, off you go, instant. But you know, this is a different beast altogether, really. No range anxiety with a hybrid. Interestingly, again, a different mode of driving. The way I find is better around town is to keep it in the mode which maintains battery charge, and then just keep myself in and out of braking regeneration to slow the car down rather than using the brakes all the time. So for gentle braking like this, I just flicked it into regenerative braking, then take it out to drive. It may be a silly thing, but you know, you can be very nerdy about these things. There's no question about it. I suspect that the vast majority of people just drive it in hybrid mode and let it get on with it, and that's perfectly adequate. You'll get a really good result. But geeks and nerds like me, I want to play. I want to custom tailor my experience. So I'll use every tool I can to get my mileage up. Surprisingly enough, in a Golf, which doesn't look that different, you do get looks and comments. Had bus drivers pull up, pedestrians stand and go, "Oh, is that the new GTE?" So obviously there's an interest in hybrids, especially the hybrids for one of the world's most popular car. So, and people do see the slight differences. This is a fully loaded version. I think 35 or 36,000 pounds worth of fully loaded GTE. So it has the fancy wheels and all that kind of stuff, which is a bit of a giveaway, I guess. So top 3 tips for hybrid driving, or even electric driving, I would say. Number 1, light on the throttle. Keep your foot off that pedal as much as you can, as long as you're being safe, of course. But speed is your enemy, fast acceleration is your enemy, smooth and gentle does it. That will maximize your range, maximize your MPG in a hybrid. Second, keep it charged. The temptation is to be lazy and not to charge it up overnight, as I've done, but really if you keep it charged up overnight, and it doesn't take long, or you can even do it just before you go to bed, a few hours, you start off the day with a full charge and you're golden. You'll be getting the maximum out of your hybrid driving. Thirdly, think ahead in all cases. So think ahead in terms of traffic, think ahead on the highway in terms of overtaking and things like that. That just makes everything that much smoother, and it changes the way you think about driving and braking and all those kind of things which cause the consumption. So let's try some park assist. I've got to press the button now, and it's telling me when it sees gaps. And there's one. So I could just hit reverse and just hands off, making sure I don't go too fast to bash into the car behind. Hello, see, I'm playing piano, air piano. This. It's what you do when you got auto assist. Oops, forward. Ooh, and there you go. Bit of a rough landing there, but it got us into the slot. Yeah, maybe, you know, still a work in progress on in some ways. Auto parking. Oy, 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 oy. So there we have it, the Golf GTE. It's a very nice car, very nice. It's a Golf. So there's not a lot else to say about it than the fact that it's a Golf, but for the fact that that electric motor and that 31-mile range, or 20 miles practical, whatever, really makes a difference in how you approach your driving. If 90% of our traveling is under 20 miles, why not do it electric instead of consuming dinosaur bones? I mean, there are a couple of things I don't really like about it that much. One is the fact that the Sat-Nav is, you know, £1,700 worth of Sat-Nav, and it won't let you put in a postcode. Really? I think that needs a bit of a rework. And whoever came up with the user manual deserves to be taken out into a dark place and severely talked to. But apart from that, hey. Anyway, there you go. This is the VW Golf GTE Hybrid. Nice. Very nice.